A very good morning to all the students. In this session, we are going to discuss yet another important topic, that is asymmetric key cryptography. Right. So, in the previous discussions, we have seen what asymmetric key cryptography is and what an asymmetric key cryptography is. So, in this session, we are going to discuss exclusively on the asymmetric key cryptography. We will start our discussion with the differences between the symmetric and asymmetric key cryptography, and we'll also see what are the different keys we require for this asymmetric key cryptography, and similarly we'll also discuss why we require both the symmetric and asymmetric key cryptographies. Right. So one thing is enough, right? The main objective of these algorithms, whether it is the symmetric algorithm or the asymmetric key algorithm, the main aim is to convert the plain text into ciphertext, or the main aim is we should not expose our data, our confidential data, to the unauthorized third parties. In order to achieve this, we are using the concept of cryptography. So we have two types, the symmetric and asymmetric. Both of them are having the same objective, but why we require these two types of cryptographies, or two types, that also we'll discuss. And one more important topic that we are going to discuss here is one-way function and a trapdoor one-way function. All these things we'll discuss in today's session. Right. So can anybody tell me what do you mean by symmetric key cryptography?
Symmetric key cryptography is that it uses same key for encryption and decryption, sir.
Super. Right. So in the symmetric key cryptography, we use only one key for both encryption and decryption. And the key which is used for encryption will be shared with the receiver in order to decrypt the data. Right. And the other category we have is the asymmetric key cryptography, where we will use two keys for encryption and decryption. So we will encrypt the data with one key and we will decrypt the data with other key. We'll see what types of keys are used. Right. As I told that the asymmetric key cryptography uses two different keys. The keys are named as the public key and the private key. The public key and private key. These are the two keys we are going to use for this asymmetric key cryptography. What key is used for encryption and what key is used for decryption, that we will discuss when we go through the concept. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
So we have different asymmetric algorithms that are supported under this category. Like we have the RSA algorithm, which we are going to discuss in the next session, RSA. And then we have Algol, and also we have the Rabin crypto system. All these things are crypto systems, right? RSA crypto system, Algol crypto system, Rabin crypto system. Similarly, another important concept is ECC. ECC stands for elliptic curve cryptography. And what is this RSA? It is an algorithm that is named after the scientist name, Rivest, Shimmer and Adelson, right? So that we will discuss it in the next sessions. So these are the different algorithms that are going to be discussed under this asymmetric key cryptography. Right. Other than this, we have one more very important algorithm, which is Diffie-Hellman algorithm. Right. So we know what an asymmetric key cryptography is. We know what are the two keys that we are going to use under this asymmetric key cryptography. We have seen some examples. What are all the different algorithms that come under this asymmetric key cryptography? That also we have seen. And now we will start our discussion with the introduction to asymmetric key cryptography. As I told that we have two types of two categories of cryptography, that is the symmetric cryptography and the asymmetric key cryptography, and assume that they exist in parallel. That means you cannot remove this symmetric key cryptography because you have this asymmetric key cryptography, or you cannot completely avoid this asymmetric key cryptography. Why? Because you have this symmetric key cryptography. So they always exist in parallel. So if you have symmetric, you should have the asymmetric key. I will tell you why we require this both these things, right? And both of them are serving the community, right? The cryptographic community. They exist and they exist in parallel. You require both of them to have a good cryptography system, or to have a good crypto system. And we can say that they are complements to each other. Very important point. So symmetric and asymmetric keys cryptographies are complements to each other. That means you have some disadvantages in the asymmetric key cryptography here. Those disadvantages are overcome in the symmetric cryptography. Similarly, if you have some disadvantages in the symmetric key cryptography, they will be overcome in the asymmetric key cryptography. So that is the reason why we call them, they are complements to each other, right? So advantages, disadvantages of one crypto system or one cryptographic category is overruled in the second category. So that's the reason why they exist in parallel, right? And another important point is the conceptual difference between these two systems is based on how they keep a secret. A secret is nothing but we can call it as a key. The original name, the authentic name is the key, right? But some of the authors and some are in some of the textbooks, you will be referring this key as a secret. So don't confuse with this term that what is this secret is. Secret is nothing but the key with which you are going to encrypt or decrypt. So that is called as the secret. The only difference between the symmetric and asymmetric key cryptography is not the only difference, but the main difference. We can call it as the main difference. The main difference between the symmetric and asymmetric key cryptography is how the two parties are going to keep the secret. If they are going to share the secret, that means if they are going to share the key, we call it as the symmetric key cryptography. And if they are not going to share the key, we call it as the asymmetric key, right? So we'll see in the next topic that what are the differences between the symmetric and asymmetric. Right. So other aspects, we are saying that this asymmetric key cryptography is exclusively used for the conversion of the plain text to ciphertext or the ciphertext to plain text. That means we are going to use this asymmetric key cryptography for the process of encryption and decryption. But other than this, the asymmetric key cryptography also supports the concept of authentication. And it also supports the concept of digital signatures, right? We have these topics in the next coming chapters, but let us see what we mean by the authentication, right? Authentication, can anybody tell me what do you mean by the authentication? Any idea on it? Yes or no?
Verification of identity of users.
Super, right? You are going to verify whether the user is the genuine user or not. How do you verify whether the user is genuine or not? For example, by making use of passwords or by making use of some biometric systems. So if I say that I am Chandrasekhar, right? So I should be authenticated. So if I want to enter into any secured systems, so I should authenticate myself that I am my Chandrasekhar itself. So for that you will have different techniques, like you may enter a password. For example, you have your Gmail accounts where you will be entering your username and password, which authenticates that you are the genuine user. So authentication is always done by making use of some passwords or the biometric systems. For example, you may have the finger scanning system or retinal scanning system. Like that, there are number of things which we'll discuss in the coming sessions. But the only concept you have to remember here is authentication means checking the genuinity of a particular person. Clear?
Yes, sir.
And digital signatures. You know what a signature is. For example, if I write my one document or if I write one letter to the higher authorities and I put my signature like this, and if I send it, if the receiver sees that this is the signature of Chandrasekhar, then he can simply do the needful, right? So like that, in order to validate the document, that the document has been sent by the correct genuine user only, they have introduced the concept of digital signatures, and this is exclusively used for the digital documents, right? So you can create a document and you can put your digital signature so that the receiver will come to know that, oh, this is the exact document that is sent by the original user only, right? So these are the two important concepts that the asymmetric key cryptography supports. So other than the cryptography techniques like encryption and decryption, it also supports the concept of authentication and digital signatures. Clear?
Yes.
Right. This particular topic which we are going to discuss now is very important topic. Forget about the examination point of view. It is important from the examination point of view, but it is also important through the conceptual point of view also. Why? Because if you have the subject on the cryptography, you should know what this symmetric cryptography is, and you should know what asymmetric cryptography is, and you should be in a position to answer at least few differences between this symmetric, where we will use this symmetric, where we will use this asymmetric. All these things will be answered in this particular slide, so please concentrate. Here we are going to distinguish the symmetric and asymmetric key cryptographies. If you look at the first point on the symmetric cryptography, it is based on sharing the secret. What do you mean by secret? I told you in the previous discussions. A secret is nothing but a key.
You are now unmuted.
So you are going to share your key. For example, I have the sender. This is the sender, and this is the receiver. They are connected with a communication channel. At the sender side, the sender has to do some encryption. He will convert the plain text into ciphertext, which is called as the encryption. And for the encryption, we require a key. So once the plain text is enciphered, the ciphertext will be transferred to the through the communication channel to the receiver. And at the receiving end, the user has to perform the decryption action, for which he also requires one key. So both encryption and decryption, they require key. This key which is used for the decryption is similar or is same as that of the key which is used for the encryption. So both the encryption key and the decryption key are same. So the sender has to send the key to the receiver in a most secure channel, right? This is a communication channel, but he cannot send the key over this communication channel. Why? Because the third party, another user, he may attack this communication channel. Why? Because it is less secure, and he may get the key. Once the key is compromised, everything is compromised. So a lot of efforts has to be done in order to keep this key highly confidential, right? So that is the reason why we won't send this key through this communication channel. Why? Because it is less secure. So in order to send this key from the sender to the receiver, they are going to use some other communication channel which is highly secured in nature, very highly secured. So this is how the symmetric key cryptography works. The sender encrypts the plain given data from the plain text to the ciphertext using a key, and the decryption at the receiving end is done with the same key. But how we are going to transmit the key from the sender to the receiver, that is very important. We have different topics of discussion on this also, how we are going to share the key, that is important, right? But at this particular point, you just remember that the key is not sent from the sender to the receiver on the same communication channel where the data is going to be sent. We require highly secured communication channel to transfer the key from the sender to the receiver. Clear?
Yes, sir.
And if you look at the first point in the asymmetric key cryptography, you can observe here that it is based on personal secrecy. That means every user who is participating in the communication, they need to generate two keys. Listen carefully, this is very important. In the asymmetric key cryptography, every user, they need to send two keys. They need to generate two keys, right? One is the public key and the second one is the private key. So the public key, as the name itself is insisting that this key is public. So once the user has created this public key and private key, the user will simply put this public key into the public. So everybody can access this public key. We can call it as a public ring. Like that, this particular public key is kept open so that every person in the community can access it. But the second key, which is generated by the user, which is a private key, is very confidential and this should not be exposed. It should be kept secret to the user, with the user only. If this private key is exposed, then everything is compromised. So here the key in the symmetric key cryptography, the key itself is highly confidential, but in the asymmetric key cryptography, there are two keys. One key is open, it is exposed to others in the community. But the other key, which is private, is very confidential, which should not be exposed to the others of the community. Clear?
Yes, sir.
So coming to the second point, we have seen the symmetric key cryptography algorithms in the first unit, where we are using two concepts which are called as P box, S boxes, which are nothing but substitutions and permutations. You remember these terms, right? So substitution is replacing one symbol with other symbol. Permutation means you are going to reorder the symbols. Symbol, what do you mean by symbol? Any idea? What do you mean by symbol? Any idea? Yes or no? So we are going to use the symbols in the symmetric key cryptography. Symbols is nothing but combination of characters, right? In the symmetric key cryptography, you are going to use the characters or symbols, where a symbol is nothing but a combination of characters. So we are going to use the techniques called substitution and permutation in the symmetric. But listen carefully, in the asymmetric cryptography, we are not going to use any characters or we are not going to use any symbols. The only concept that is known to the asymmetric key cryptography is numbers. So we are going to use the numbers in the asymmetric key cryptography. So here we won't use the substitution and permutation. We have the mathematical functions, very important. So that is the reason why we have seen lot of mathematical concepts which come under this asymmetric key cryptography. So they are going to use the mathematical functions on the numbers. Remember, this particular point is very important, that asymmetric key cryptography never uses the textual data. It never uses the symbols. It is going to concentrate only on numbers. So when you are using the numbers, you should have the mathematical concepts. When you are using the numbers, you should go for the mathematical functions. Very, very important point. Clear? Right.
Yes, sir.
So coming to the third point in the symmetric key cryptography, the plain text and ciphertext which we are going to use or which we are going to generate in the symmetric key cryptography, they are thought of as a combination of characters or a combination of symbols. Hence, they involve the permutation or substitution of these symbols. The same point we are expressing it in different way. But when we consider this asymmetric key cryptography, as I told that we have the plain text as numbers, only numbers. And when you convert this plain text into ciphertext using the asymmetric cryptography, we also generate numbers. So the plain text and ciphertext in asymmetric cryptography are numbers only. We don't have any textual data. We don't have any symbols. So since we have numbers, both the encryption and decryption, they involve the application of mathematical functions on these numbers to create other numbers. Right. Coming to the fourth point, symmetric key cryptography, the secret is shared between the two parties. I told you this point, right? Sender and receiver will be there, and the sender has to send the key to the receiver in order to decrypt the ciphertext. So they are going to share the secret, which is nothing but a key. But in the asymmetric key cryptography, the secret is personal. That means the key is personal. It is not shared. It is unshared. Each person creates and keeps his or her own secret. So it is the responsibility of the person to generate two keys. One is the public and another one is the private. You make the public key which is available to all the members of the community, but it is your responsibility to keep the private key confidential. It is your responsibility, right? And fifth point, in a community of n people, we require n into n minus 1 by 2 shared secrets are needed, right? For example, right, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
How many minimum parties are required to have the communication? Two parties, right?
Two, sir.
The sender and the receiver. So how many keys the sender is going to generate? Two keys. One public key and another one is private key. Similarly, how many keys the receiver is going to generate? He is also going to generate two keys. One is private and another one is public. Clear? Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So if I have two parties, 1 and 2, so how many keys I require? How many keys I require for this particular one?
4 keys.
I have not 4 keys, forget about the public key. right? We are going to use the concept of secret keys only, that is the private keys. So one has one key with the two. Am I right or not? For example, if I have 3 parties, how many keys I should generate? One has to generate one key for 2 and another key for 3. Similarly, 2 has generate one key for 1 and another key for 3. So how many keys? It is 3 keys. For example, if I take another party 4, now tell me how many keys I should generate. So one has to generate 3 keys, one with 2 and another with 3 and another with 4. Similarly, 2 has to generate how many keys?
2 keys, sir.
2 keys. Why? Because one key with 1 is shared, therefore it has to generate 2 and 4. Similarly, 3 has to generate one key is shared with between this 1 and 2, right? So it has to generate this one. Like that, if you go on doing the things, for example, if I have a community of n people, n is there. If I take the first person, how many keys he should have?
You are now unmuted.
How many keys he should have? There are n people in the community.
You are now unmuted.
And if I take
n
the
minus
first
1,
person,
sir.
super, right? He has to have n minus 1 keys for the remaining n minus 1 people. So one key for each and every person. This is the concept you should remember. If I take the second person, listen carefully. If I take the second person, how many keys he should have?
n minus 2, sir.
Super, right? So if this person has to share with 2, 3, 4 and so on up to n minus 1. Therefore we have n minus 1 keys. Similarly, if you take the second person, he does not have to generate a key with 1. Why? Because 1 and 2 are already linked here. Therefore it has to generate n minus 2 keys. And what about the third person? How many keys he has to
n minus 3, sir.
n minus 3. And what about the last person?
You are now
Nth person, only 1. If I take the n minus 1th person, you have to take only 2. So if I add all these things, right? So n minus 1 plus n minus 2 and so on, like this. So you will get a term like n minus 1 into 1 plus 2 plus 3 and so on up to n minus 1 or n. So what is the formula for n into n, sum of n natural numbers? N into n
Into n plus 1 by 2.
n plus 1 by 2. But here my n is n minus 1. So I substitute this n minus 1 into n minus 1 plus 1 by 2, which is equal to n minus 1 into n by 2. So this is how the formula has been generated. So if you have n members in a community, they are going to generate n into n minus 1 by 2 shared secrets. Clear? Clear?
Yes, sir.
So this is symmetric key cryptography. Don't get confused. So if the sender is there, how many keys in the symmetric key? How many keys he has to generate between the sender and the receiver? Is it 2 or 1?
You are now
1, sir.
Only 1, right? Here 1 key and receiver has to generate 1 key. But the concept here, what you have to remember is if the sender is sharing a key with the receiver, that means if party 1 is sharing a key with the party 2, there is no need to have the other key from 2 to 1. That is the concept you have to understand, right? So one person is sharing a key with another person. The reverse is not necessary. Why? Because already they have a secret key that is shared between 1 and 2. Therefore, this is not possible. This is not necessary. So, by looking at this example, you can observe that this is the total number of keys that should be generated in the symmetric key cryptography. But if you look at the asymmetric key cryptography, right, we have a sender and we have a receiver. Clear? How many? So every person will have, for example, if I take the first person, he should have one secret key. If I take the second person, how many keys he should have? Secret key, one secret key. If I take the third person, one secret key. Like that, if I have n persons in a community, how many keys I should have? N keys. Am I right or not?
You are now on
Yes,
mute.
sir.
Is it clear how this value has been generated, how it is n into n minus 1 by 2? In the symmetric key cryptography, the sender and receiver are going to share the keys. So once there is a secret key that is shared between a pair of members, the reverse is not necessary. That means from the receiver to sender, we don't need to have another key. So for the first person, he has to have n minus 1 keys, and for the second person, he need to have n minus 2. Like that, it will generate a sequence like this. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus and so on up to n minus 1. So this is the formula you will get here. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So here in the asymmetric cryptography, you can see that in a community of n people, you require n personal secrets, nothing but n personal keys. But in symmetric, we require n into n minus 1 by 2 keys. Clear?
You are now on mute.
Yes, sir.
Now we are going to enter into a very important topic, that is the asymmetric key crypto systems, where we will discuss what type of keys we have, what is the general idea behind this asymmetric key cryptography system, and why we require this both symmetric and asymmetric key crypto system, and we will end up our discussion with trapdoor one-way function. And this RSA crypto system, we will take it in as an example, and we are going to discuss it in the next session. Right. Coming to the keys, as I told that how many keys are required for asymmetric key cryptography? 2 keys. And what is the name we are giving? The first name, the key, one key is named as public and another key is named as private. Right. Are you able to see the screen diagram?
Yes,
You are
sir.
now unmuted.
Now tell me, who is sending the message? Is it Alice or Bob? There are two parties here. One is Alice and second one is Bob.
Alice
is-
is sending, sir.
Alice is sender, right? You have the communication direction in this direction. You can observe here. So the Alice is the sender and the Bob is the receiver. Right? See here, very important concept. How many keys Alice has to generate?
1 key, sir.
2 keys. How many keys Bob has to generate? How many keys Bob has to generate?
2 keys, sir.
2 keys. Listen carefully. So in a communication that happens between the two parties, that is Alice and Bob, when they have decided to go with the asymmetric key cryptography, every party has to generate 2 keys. Right? One is the public key and another one is the private key. And Alice, what is the action he has to perform? He or she has to perform. Is it encryption or decryption?
Encryption, sir. Encryption.
At the sender side, Alice has to perform the encryption. Listen carefully. When the Alice is interested to perform the encryption, since the message is intended for the Bob, you have a ring here, public key ring. So the Alice has to take a public key of Bob and she has to encrypt this message. So the key that is used for the encryption by Alice is Bob's public key. You will get confused here only, right? Confusion. So please concentrate that we are not bothered about who is sending the message. We are only concentrating on the receiver only. Very important point. We are going to concentrate only on the receiver. Since Bob is the receiver, Bob will be generating two keys. One is the public key and another one is the private key. One public key from the Bob is kept in the public ring. And if any other party who wants to send a message to Bob, in this case we have Alice. Alice will go and search this public ring and she will fetch the public key of the Bob, and that Bob's public key will be used for the encryption. Once encrypted data is there with the Alice, she will send it through the communication channel, and once the encrypted data has been received by the Bob, now Bob, what he has to do? He has to use his private key to decrypt it. Clear? Very important point you have to understand here is we are not going to bother about who is the sender. We are concentrating only on the receiver. So for encryption, we are going to use the receiver's public key, and for decryption, the receiver is going to use the receiver's private key. If this is clear, we can move to the other slide.
Yes, sir.
So this is the general idea behind the asymmetric key crypto system. Very simple thing only. Here is the sender, Alice, and this is at the receiver, who is called as Bob. Right? Bob and Alice. As I told that Bob is going to generate two keys. One is the public key and another one is the private key, by using some key generation procedures that we will discuss in the later cases. So one public key which is generated by this key generation procedure by the Bob will be kept in the public key distribution channel. Here I am saying it as a public key ring. We can say it as ring also. As I told that when Alice wants to encrypt the data, or he or she wants to send a message to Bob, so she wants to encrypt the data. So what she will do is she will go to the public distribution channel and she will fetch the public key of Bob. Whose public key is this? Whose public key is this? Is it Bob's or is it
Bob, sir.
Bob's? And she will encrypt it and she will send it to the communication channel. You can observe here that this is an insecure channel. Why? Because this communication channel can be attacked by any third party user. That's why we call it as insecure channel. So once the ciphertext has been received, the Bob has to apply the decryption algorithm, for which he is going to use the private key to generate the plain text. Whose private key is this?
Bob, sir.
Bob's. So is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Remember that sometimes or in some textbooks or some others they will make use of this public key. It's not public key, the private key as the secret. We can call it in the other way also, private key or the secret. But there is a difference here, right? Even if you go for the symmetric key cryptography, what is the other name for the key? What is the other name for the key? It is secret. So in the symmetric key we have only one key and that key is called as secret. In the asymmetric key cryptography we have two keys, out of which the private key is called as secret. But there is a lot of difference between this secret and this secret. As I told that symmetric key cryptography works on textual data, long text, you can make use of it here. But in the private key, this secret is nothing but a sequence of numbers. This is the important point you should understand. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And one more important application I told about this asymmetric key cryptography is it provides authentication. And what is the other thing it is going to provide?
Digital signatures.
Digital signatures. Right. So you may have a doubt here that Bob is exposing his public key. So will be there any problem about this public key? Means there will not be any problem. Why? Because this public key or the asymmetric key cryptography also provides the authentication and integrity by using these digital signatures. Right. What do you mean by authentication? Means, for example, let us assume that Eve is a third party unauthorized user. She always wants to keep an eye on what communication is going between this Alice and Bob. So she is the unauthorized third party user. What she will do is, if this authentication and integrity is not provided by this asymmetric key cryptography, what she will do is, she will create her public key and she will put it here in the public ring. And she will not put it as if it is a Eve's public key. She tries to make Alice fool that this key, this public key that is generated by the Eve, is the key of Bob. This should not happen. Right? So Eve is a third party unauthorized user. She tries to advertise her public key to the community by pretending as if this key is the Bob's public key. Right? This should not happen, and this is successfully achieved in the asymmetric key cryptography, which we are going to discuss under the section called public key distribution. Right, we have a concept called as public key distribution. There we will see how we are going to securely or how we are going to authenticate the public keys, whether that is the key of Bob or whether that is the key of Chandu or Eve, that you should have. That is called as authentication. Everything we will discuss in the public key distribution. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Right. Coming to the other topic, the ciphertext and plain text. As I told that in the differences between the symmetric and asymmetric, what are the plain text and ciphertext in asymmetric key crypto system? Is it textual data, or is it symbols, or is it numbers?
Numbers, sir.
Super, right. So unlike in symmetric key cryptography, plain text and ciphertext are treated as integers, numbers, in the asymmetric key cryptography. We know very well about it. So the message must be encoded as an integer before encryption. So before encryption, you have to convert any data into integers. Similarly, at the decryption side, the integers must be decoded into the message. This is what an extra step is required in this asymmetric key cryptography. Remember that asymmetric key cryptography always depends on numbers. So they are going to use the numbers. So if you have any textual data, you just encode it into integers at the sender side before encryption, and at the receiving side, after decryption, you have to perform an extra step which is called as decoding, where you are converting the integers into messages. Right? Clear?
Yes, sir.
And this is very important point. Asymmetric key cryptography is generally used to encrypt or decrypt small pieces of information. Remember that asymmetric key cryptography is never used to encrypt or decrypt large pieces of information. Small pieces, they will be used small pieces of information can be encrypted and decrypted using this asymmetric. If you want to encrypt large data, what is that you have to use? Is it symmetric or asymmetric?
Symmetric, sir.
Symmetric. Small pieces of data, you have to go for asymmetric. So what is this small pieces of information means? In the symmetric key cryptography, you have keys, right? For example, AES we have seen, DES we have seen. What is the length of the keys? (192, 256) like that. We have number of bits, right? So that key, sometimes you need to encrypt those keys also. To encrypt the cipher keys that is used for the symmetric key cryptography, you need to use this asymmetric key cryptography. Very simple thing, right? So coming to encryption and decryption, here the ciphertext is represented with an uppercase C and the plain text is represented with the uppercase P. P for plain, C for cipher. And here we are going to use a function called F. As I told that asymmetric key cryptography always deals with the numbers. When you are dealing with the integers, you should have the mathematical functions. So F is a mathematical function, which we are calling it as encryption function. Similarly, G is another mathematical function, which we are calling it as decryption function, right? So the ciphertext, tell me what is this one? Is it an encryption function or decryption function?
Encryption function.
This is encryption and this is done at sender side, right?
Sir.
So you have a plain
Yes, sir.
text, you need to generate a ciphertext. But you have to apply a function F on the plain text along with public key. What is that you are using for the encryption? Public key or private key?
Public keys.
Public.
Public key.
So to convert the plain text into the ciphertext, you are going to use a mathematical function F, with which you have to create a function with this public key and the plain text. Similarly, at the receiving side, you have to perform the decryption. So you have to generate a plain text P. From what you have to generate? You have to generate the plain text from the ciphertext. And the function you are going to use here is G. G is a mathematical function. And you need to design this G such that you have to use the private key and the ciphertext. Clear?
Yes, sir.
And this is very important. Listen, what is the need for both the symmetric and asymmetric key encryptions? So is it not enough that we have only symmetric, and is it not enough that we have only asymmetric? As I told in the first slide itself, in the introduction part, both the symmetric and asymmetric key cryptography algorithms, they run in parallel. They are complements to each other. One disadvantage of one encryption system is overcome in the other encryption system, right? So here we are going to discuss. So this is a very important fact that is sometimes misunderstood. The advent of, that means the invention of the asymmetric key cryptography, does not eliminate the need for the symmetric key cryptography. The reason is, as I told, that asymmetric key cryptography is going to use the numbers. So it is going to use the mathematical functions for both encryption and decryption. Therefore, the asymmetric key is much slower than the symmetric key cryptography. Very important. It is much slower than the symmetric. So which one is faster, symmetric or asymmetric?
Symmetric key, sir.
Symmetric, right? So when we want to encrypt large textual data or large messages, are you going to go for the symmetric or asymmetric?
Symmetric, sir.
Symmetric.
Symmetric, sir.
Right. If you see here, so the encipherment of large messages require the symmetric key cryptography. And what for we are going to use the asymmetric key cryptography? We are going to use this crypto system only for encryption and decryption of small messages, small pieces of information. Clear? Like the cipher key that we use in the symmetric key cryptography. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And the other side of the coin, right? We have the fastest crypto systems like the symmetric. Since we have the fastest symmetric encryption techniques or decryption techniques, do we need to eliminate the asymmetric encryptions? The answer is no. Why? Because the asymmetric crypto systems are used for authentication. They are used for digital signatures. They are used to encipher the secret keys in the symmetric key crypto systems. Though they are slow in nature, though the asymmetric key crypto systems are slower than the symmetric, we should not eliminate it, because very important services that are provided under these crypto systems like authentication, digital signatures, and encryption of cipher keys, secret key exchanges, everything is performed using the asymmetric key cryptography only. Clear?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So the last topic of today's session, the trapdoor one-way function. Let us see what a function is. It's a mathematical concept. The main idea behind the asymmetric cryptography is the functions. Right. We have seen two functions, f and g. We are not defining this function, but we know that encryption requires a function f and decryption requires a function g. So what a function is? So a function is nothing but a rule. It's a constraint. Right. It is a restriction, or it is a rule which maps one element in set A called domain to one element in set B called range. So this is set A, which we are calling it as domain. We have some n number of elements here. This is set B, which have n number of elements. That elements set we call it as range. So a function is nothing but a rule which maps one element x in set A or domain to one element y in set B or range. So that is called as f. Clear? In simple terms, we can say that a function is a rule which is a mapping rule from domain to a range. Simple. So once we know about this function, we should know what this one-way function is. Do you have any idea on this one-way function? One way, the name itself is saying that there is only one way. That means, see here, if you look at this function f, it is going to map one element of domain, that is x, with one element of range, that is y. This is possible, this way is possible. But f inverse is the inverse function which is defined from range to domain. Okay, so the elements of one element of range is mapped to only one element of domain. Then only we will get the f inverse. Right. If this is not possible, that means f inverse is not possible, only one way. That means you can calculate y by making use of the function f with x, input as x. But you cannot get x from y. This is not possible. That means f inverse is not possible. If that is the case, then we call it as the one-way function. Clear? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So invertible function is nothing but f inverse. So a function that associates each element in the range, this is range, with exactly one element in the domain, this is called as invertible function. What do you mean by one-way function? Means, as I told that f is easy to compute. So we are writing a function called y is equal to f of x. You should not write any complex things in this f. You should not have long equations in the f. It should be very simple, very easy to compute, right? And the second point is f inverse is difficult to compute. If these two conditions are satisfied, then we call that such function as one-way function, OWF acronym. Clear? F is easy to compute, but f inverse is difficult to compute. That function we call it as one-way function. Now the other category, which is called as trapdoor one-way function. What do you mean by trapdoor one-way function? We know trap one-way function is a function where it is easy to compute, but f inverse is difficult to compute. Trapdoor means, a trapdoor function means it is also a one-way function, but in addition to these two properties, that is easy to compute and inverse is difficult to compute, you should have the other property where given y, that means the value in the range, this one, if we are given this one, and if you are given a trapdoor, here trapdoor is nothing but secret, x can be computed very easily. That is called as a trapdoor one-way function, right? The concept here you should understand is, once you encrypt it, so you assume that this is ciphertext, this is the plain text. So if you generate a ciphertext with the plain text, for example, let us write this. So this is plain text. You have generated this ciphertext with this plain text. This can be easily calculated. That is what f should be defined. But by making use of p, you cannot generate p from c. This should be complicated. So if you make this f inverse and we apply this on p, for example, f inverse of c should not be equal to p. It should be very complicated. This is what the one-way function is expected. But if you extend the one-way function with a trapdoor, that means you know y. Y is nothing but f of p, which is nothing but c, right? You know c. And you have the key also, trapdoor, which is nothing but a private key. So once you know the ciphertext and private key, the plain text can be easily computed. This is what the trapdoor one-way function is. So all that it is revolving around this private key only. Once you have a private key, done. You can easily get the plain text from the ciphertext. Clear? Clear? So that's the end of today's session. In today's session, we have started our discussion with the asymmetric key cryptography introduction. We went through the differences between the symmetric and asymmetric key crypto systems, and then we have seen what are the two different keys we use for this asymmetric key cryptography. We have seen the procedure of the asymmetric key crypto system. Then we have gone through why we require this symmetric as well as the asymmetric, and finally we ended our topic with the discussion on functions, one-way function and trapdoor one-way function. So that's all for today's session, and thank you one and all for joining the session.